You're listening to the So Good It Doesn't Make Sense podcast, a podcast for women navigating divorce who want more. More clarity, more money, more peace, more power. I'm Megan Norris, divorce expert, coach, and the friend who's going to tell you the truth. Not just about what's happening right now, but about what's possible for you next. This podcast is about making decisions you trust, building a life you actually want, and becoming the version of you that no one saw coming. Whether you're in it, ending it, or already out, you're in the right place. You're about to become the CEO of your life and create one so good it doesn't make sense. Let's get started. Hi, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm giggling because I think most people would say, listen, make a little setup, make it like a podcast, a little studio. If you're going to batch record episodes, maybe change your shirt in between if it's going to be on video. And I'm just in my bedroom office in the same shirt I was wearing on the last episode because I'm recording it directly afterwards. Listen, you don't need all the fancy things that your brain wants you to need in order to create what you want. I promise that everything as it is right now is already enough. You're already enough. Part of the reason why I loved that the only place in this house for this little office setup is in my bedroom. It wouldn't be my first choice, but there is no other location in the house where I can put this. It just doesn't fit. So this is it. And I was so grateful when I actually got all the furniture in here that it actually fit, because I was very stressed that it might not. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but it did. And I just want you to know that you can create millions of dollars from your little home office in your bedroom, looking out on your porch with the twinkle lights and loving every second of it. It doesn't need to be complicated, fancy, highly produced, or any different than you already are and that you want it to be. So just a side note, keep it simple and just go for it. Okay. I was talking to a client yesterday about how she's working through in therapy this belief that she's responsible for everything, that everything is her fault. And it's her job to fix everything and be responsible for everything. It's really a heavy weight and burden to carry around. And I'm not a therapist, so I'm not going to do therapy work with you. But from a coaching perspective, I want to change how you're looking at blame, fault, responsibility, because it's going to hold you back. It's going to hold you back. And I'm going to explain why in just a second. Okay. Do we need to take a breath? Let's take a deep breath. Did you know we have breath work inside my program? We do. Am I shamelessly plugging it again? Yes, because I know it's going to change your life. I have a certified breathwork coach who also happens to be my sister, doing breathwork once a month with the group in the membership. And breath is powerful. So FYI, that's available. Let's talk about responsibility and why it's really going to hold you back to keep blaming yourself for everything. When your brain says, this is all your fault, you didn't do it. You didn't do it right enough. You didn't try hard enough. You should have made decisions sooner. You should have had more awareness sooner. You should have done more sooner, or not at all. You should have made different decisions entirely. And now you've made this big old mess of your life and you have to fix it. And it's your fault. Oh, so much shame. And a lot of us are living in that paradigm without having those conscious thoughts in our head. It's just the way we operate. It's this over responsibility that we want to take for things and people that exist outside of us that we don't actually have control over, including the past. You're going to take over responsibility for the past. You don't have control over the past anymore. The past doesn't even exist except for in your head. So it's this thought error, it's this belief error that the brain has, that if I blame myself for everything, I'll, number one, be in control. So I'll feel safer and it will be easier. And two, I'll be able to get what I want. Both of those things are false. But here's what happens when we persist in blaming ourselves for things, for everything, for everything, or even just for some things, right? Sometimes our brain, she's too smart. She's like, I know I'm not responsible for everything. I'm only responsible for the most important things and messing those up. Okay, sure. But here's what happens. Your brain, especially through adversity like divorce, your brain says, yikes, look what you did. Look how you screwed that up. Look how awful this is now. I cannot possibly give you free rein to go create the future of your dreams because there's no way you are trustworthy. You're going to mess it up and we will be back suffering in devastation again. And I can't risk that. So we are going to need to stay very stuck, very still. We're just going to stay here. I think my theory, I will never know, but one of my theories about why the divorce statistics are the way they are, bleak. They're so bleak in terms of like quality of life after, which continues to boggle my mind. I'm like, wait, we're ending relationships that don't work and then everyone's life gets worse? I'm confused. But I think part of that recipe, part of the recipe that's creating that result is this idea that it's all our fault. We've messed up. We didn't do it right. We didn't have a successful relationship. We didn't have a successful divorce. I don't have the co-parenting relationship everybody says I should strive to have. It's my fault. And as long as it's my fault, I can't possibly risk failing again because it's so painful. It means so much about who I am and what I'm worthy of and what I'm capable of that it's intolerable for me to even try. And so our brains get very creative in ways to hold ourselves back. And listen, that's not a problem. We don't need to judge that about ourselves. But if we have a choice, if I have a choice, I don't want to keep doing that. Plus, it feels terrible. It feels terrible to say, I really messed up and I didn't get it right. And it's my fault that this happened this way. Oof. Okay, so none of us want that. None of us want to continue to take over responsibility for things that don't belong to us, including fault and blame for what has happened in the past. So that means we have to tell a different story. And you have a couple of options. I have an opinion about, and I have a preference that for myself, and I will offer that to you. But you do have options. And sometimes it's a matter of trying different options on, different stories on. Sometimes we have to sit with a story for a while before we move on to the next version of it so that we can feel seen and heard and validated in that version of the story. So there's no wrong way to do this, but I'm going to tell you what some alternatives are to over responsibility for things that are out of your control. One option is to say, but I did the best I could. Let's really look back at what happened. Was I just this like passive, apathetic, disinterested participant in my life? Is that what happened? Is that what's happening right now? And I want you to look at it because I had this story. I'm like, what was I doing? What was I doing? All those years, what were we doing? And it felt really heavy. But if you look back, my guess is you can identify things all along the way that you were trying as you figured it out, right? As you were figuring things out, becoming aware of different things and like creating contrast in your life and changing preferences and having kids and or changing jobs or doing the health crisis or the death of the parent or whatever it is, you can look back and see where you were trying. You were, as it was unfolding, adjusting and being flexible and trying other new things. And I promise you, if you're listening to this podcast, I feel there's a person out there. I can feel you. You're like, nope, I just put my head in the sand and shame on me. I just want to offer that can't be true. As true as it might feel right now, and that's okay, if we were to speak to one another and we like dug in, I promise you, I could show you a whole list of things. Ways that you were attempting to regain agency, to change, to make a different decision. And just because it didn't work out the way your brain thinks it should have worked out, doesn't mean that you were just a passive participant with your head in the sand. Please don't do that to yourself. That's one option. I wasn't doing nothing. I was doing the best I could in any given moment. And that's just the truth that I'm going to choose to believe. And remember, on purpose. That's the story I'm going to tell on purpose. And I will not accept anything else. It's kind of like a thought boundary. So when my brain says, you really messed this whole thing up, I just tell it with so much love, hey, we don't speak that way to ourselves. I will say that out loud. Like, whoa, okay, choosing violence today. Love you. I hear you, but no, it's a no. I am not going to, of all the things that I could think about and all the ways I could direct my thoughts, that's not the choice we're going to make today. It's just a no. And when you believe that you've shown up to the best of your ability in any given moment, guess what starts to happen? Maybe you trust yourself in the present moment and in the future moment to create a life that you love. Because that vision you have for your life is sacred. And we wouldn't want to entrust it with somebody who is just going to beat you up with it and tell you that you did it wrong because it didn't play out exactly the way that you wanted it to. Because visions are built on failures. They just are. You win some and you will often just like mud on the face, face melting off, lose some on your way to the thing that you want. We have to be able to trust you in order to give you permission to go try, to go take the next step and collect the data, adjust and go again. So the self-trust that comes from that version of the story is already a step up. It's such an upgrade, I should say. Okay. The second choice that you have, the second option in terms of what story you want to tell is to experiment with and believe that everything that happened up until this point had to happen that way in order to unlock what's next for you. I'm gonna stop here and I'm gonna put a trigger warning. Listen to me. If this feels worse in your body, if it feels like blame, if it feels like spiritually or emotionally bypassing something you haven't processed yet, then I need you to leave it on the buffet. If this is a buffet, you can choose what you want and what serves you and what doesn't. Please leave this if it's not feeling good in your body, okay? Because this isn't the better choice. It's just another option. You can choose to believe that the highest part of you that came here for the soul expansion and the human experience chose the experience you've walked through on purpose so that it could bring you to this moment. And that it could not have happened any other way. And that through that lens, in that story, what has happened is right. Okay? Take that or leave it. And you may evolve into that one day. It gets easier to see that when your life starts to feel so good it doesn't make sense. You will look back and say, I wouldn't choose that again consciously, but damn, whoa, that, like, this is really good. I didn't know it could get this good. Okay, so maybe we put a pin in that until your life starts to get there, or maybe it's available to you now. I've done both. I prefer now the second one built on a very solid foundation of the first one, where I was doing my best in a very difficult circumstance. That's still true, right? But the underlying assumption in that story is that something went wrong and that given the choice, you wouldn't choose it again because it was so bad, right? But I can look back and say, okay, I was always doing the best that I could in any given moment. And also, it couldn't have happened any other way. And if you think about it, the second has to be true. Because if it could have played out differently for all the effort and all the trying and all the ways, all the books you read and all the whatever, ways you tried to manage your stress and all the podcasts you listened to and all the late nights maybe you didn't sleep, or the journaling you did, or the crying in the laundry room that you did. For all of that, if you could have changed it, you would have. It could not have happened any other way than the way that it played out. And if you're in the messy middle of transformation where everything feels like it's got to burn down and you cannot see the light yet, about the light that feels warm and comforting and like a reflection of exactly what you want, then it may be harder to believe that. That's okay. But I promise that's coming. It's coming. If you'll just keep going, that's all you have to do. It's not hard to keep going because you're already doing it. You've already survived 100% of your bad days. You've seen this meme on Instagram 1,000 times. Like, yes, I know. And this feels so terrible. Yeah, it does. I know. And you're going to be okay. It's going to pass. The other thing I really love about that second story is that in some way, like you chose to come here for some higher learning. Okay. You did not come here to, for preschool and kindergarten. You came for the juiciest stuff and you got it, right? Not everybody chooses that, and that's not everybody's life's path. I follow this influencer on Instagram. Um, she's amazing. She's a few years older than me. I think she's 47, 48. I'm 45. And she is married to a retired NFL player, and they live in Nashville. And so she's kind of got a Southern vibe. She feels like a big sister to me. And her life has not been perfect, like by any stretch, right? But we only see this like facade on Instagram. And my brain just loves to watch her and delight in her life. I'm like, wow, this just seems so safe. This feels so secure to me. It feels like, where's the adversity? And you probably know of, or maybe know personally, people like that in your life who you're just watching them and you're like, this is fascinating. I have been through the ringer. And then they're just having like a huge family holiday and everybody's playing like ping pong and like games. There, if you follow, oh gosh, what's her name? Jen, somebody. What's her handle? Oh, it's the Sister Studio. Obsessed with her. She's got like over 1 million followers. And I think they live in Oklahoma and they have a cabin in Arkansas. And I just watch her sometimes. I'm like, this is just, and I know her life is 50-50 too, right? But sometimes it helps me to think about my path. Not that listen, I'm so privileged and I'm, oh gosh, I don't ever mean to take away from anybody's, you know, need to try to survive through the basic survival needs of like Maslow's hierarchy, right? Food, shelter, water, human connection. Like some people are struggling to meet those basic needs. And I have never had to do that. And I am so grateful. I recognize the privilege in this. And it doesn't stop my brain from wondering sometimes why things have played out the way that they have, even though I tried so hard to do it right. And it helps me to think, well, this is what you chose because you were made for this, and you can make it mean something awful for your life, or you can make it mean something incredible for your life. And I choose the latter because it feels better. Either option, maybe you start with, I did the best I could every step of the way, and eventually graduate to, oh, it had to happen this way, and I'm even maybe glad it did. I'm so glad it did. What? Yeah, because of who you're becoming. And now we have beautifully shifted without overthinking, right? Without overthinking the over responsibility, without over functioning, without digging into childhood trauma. We have very gently shifted, this is all my fault, to, oh, I was doing the best that I could, and it couldn't have happened any other way. Because if it could have, I would have been the one to change it. I was trying. And now we've created some self-trust so we can hand over this sacred vision to ourselves and say, okay, you got this. Like, it's just this or something better. So let's go. Because if you can handle this, doesn't matter what happens next. Because you can handle that too. And now you have all this evidence that that's true. And you don't have to blame yourself and live in that heavy, anxious, stagnating place where there's just no wiggle room around any of the obstacles that you see in front of you, because no matter what you do, it's going to be your fault and it's going to mean something is wrong with you. It's just easier to get divorced and live your life choosing to believe that not only is there not anything wrong with you, but that maybe everything is right with you. Maybe exactly how you are is exactly how you're supposed to be on purpose, including the part of you that wants to take over responsibility for everything and everyone. Listen, it's you throw in kids and feeling responsible for them and finances and all the programming that comes with that. And then, a legal process, maybe a new relationship, your health, your ailing parents, the puberty that might be happening in your house. I get it. My brain, I catch it all the time. Do you know what she does? She likes to make every hard day that my kids have, every hard thing they go through, be a result of me deciding to get a divorce. Yeah, it does that. It's like, oh, well, this wouldn't be happening if I hadn't gotten a divorce and they hadn't been through the trauma they've been through. It's, kind of my fault in a way. My brain does that to me all the time. And I have to stop and ask it, what if this is just a normal kid thing? What if on April, whatever, or this May 1st, I think, May 1st, 2025, this was going to happen regardless of your marital status? What if that's a possibility? You know what really helps me with that is I see Instagram reels of people talking about their teens and their preteens or their kids doing certain things. And every time it opens up a new awareness that I was kind of blaming myself for something. And then I'm like, oh, wait, all kids are doing this? All kids are doing this? It's not just mine? It's not just because I've traumatized them or I didn't do it right. It's where my brain always goes. If you know, you didn't do it right. And that's why this is happening. And then I see somebody else who's going through the same thing. And I think, oh, this is just part of the human experience. It's not actually your fault. But I carry that around and I don't always have awareness of it. But when I notice it, I'm very intentional about releasing it because it only keeps us stuck and feeling untrustworthy with the thing that we're trying to create. Whew. Okay. If you loved that and you feel like leaving a review, they tell me it'll help. Leave a review. And I'll be back next week. Bye. Thanks for listening to the So Good It Doesn't Make Sense podcast. If today's episode resonated, please take a minute and leave a review. It helps women find this work and change their lives and divorces too. For more support, be sure you follow me on Instagram at Megan Norris Coaching. That's where I share real-time strategy, perspective, and what it actually looks like day to day. And when you're ready to go deeper, join the Divorce Academy, my monthly membership for women navigating divorce with clarity, power, and community. I'll see you next week. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for legal, financial, or mental health advice. Please consult with licensed professionals as needed.